This is the news review segment, and Ben will tell you about our guest.
Well, joining the conversation this morning, we have Professor Michael Ayamga. He's acting Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority. He joins the conversation in the studio. Prof, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
It's good to have you join the
nice
conversation.
Nice to join the show.
You know, Sweetie, he reminds me of the last time when he came and he said, you know, he wanted to speak outside of his position. He didn't want to get political. I'm wondering whether today he's going to get there.
Is it the same today?
I don't know. I gradually accept him.
At this point,
reality,
you cannot exclude.
I'll say things, not things that will not ravel nerves, but I'll definitely stay on team. So.
Okay.
Okay.
You know how we do it. You have a couple of minutes to walk us through any reflections you have on a national issue. My guess is you want to talk about the demonstration, but I don't know. I'm not going to...
No, your guess is right.
Yeah.
Your guess is right. If you're a betting person, I'm sure you'll be smiling.
And I've won $1 million.
Without tax, of course, I must add. Yes, I think one of the things that struck me during the demonstration is the evolving posture of the police. I think that they have been very professional in the way they handle the demonstrations. And I want to commend them. We are not having people being hunted around and chased around. And as we speak, I'm not sure of anybody being in custody for now. The unfortunate incident of some personnel being attacked and the aggression towards police was unfortunate, but we have to be grateful that in this country we can still express dissent, go on demonstrations without the police being overly sensitive to what the people do, but going on with their duties. So I am particularly very happy about that. I'm also excited by the posture of the government being open to receive people's expression of dissent. That is how democracy thrives. We cannot always think that our positions should prevail. We understand and we get better by looking at it the way others see it. So once we stick with that, our democracy would grow. So good morning to the police. I was very impressed, and I'm also happy that the government, the presidency, give the demonstrators the respect they deserve by coming to listen, interact, and receive their petition. As to what happens, I think it's a matter of constitution. It's a matter of what the Council of State says, whether somebody deserves to go or not. The evidence will speak at the end of the day. But both the minority, majority, and the streets have had their say.
Okay. It was a day yesterday. I was out there in the crowd, and I agree with you. Although I don't remember their names, some policemen were very helpful to me. At some point when it was getting really chaotic, somehow they identified me and tried to yank me out of the crowd. So yeah, my sincere appreciation to them. Of course, the newspapers have captured that. Ben, should we dive right in, or you have some thoughts?
I have extensive thoughts, and today you'd have to give me my own bite on that. But I'll only do it when I read, or maybe you read the story from one of the papers, because the New Republic also captures it. So maybe when we start getting into it, then I'll get into that. But let's also acknowledge Professor Ezekiel Nortey, Associate Professor, Department of Statistics and Actuarial Science at the University of Ghana. Prof, good morning. You would have to unmute, Prof.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation this morning. We have a bit of a ritual that we perform. Prof, okay, I still can't hear you. I see your lips moving, but...
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can. Thank you very much, Prof. So let's keep it there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is my maiden joining this team, and I'm grateful. I'm already excited.
Right. Thank you so much, Prof. And of course, we appreciate that. We know with time things will definitely smoothen out. We have a bit of a ritual here, and we give about a minute for our guests on the news review to talk about something that is a burning issue for them, something that is topmost on their minds or on their agenda. So we'll hand over to you. Your colleague in the studio has done that already. What are your thoughts for us this morning?
Yeah, so everybody knows that the burning issue now is this CJ, get CJ out, get CJ in, and I think the judiciary is under attack and all that. I think from where I sit, the government has conducted itself very well. Yesterday, I was following proceedings, and I think they have accommodated whatever those that are sort of trying to say that the CJ should be reinstated. They have actually submitted their petition. It's been taken, and they're going to consider it. I think in all stakeholders are now satisfied. At least you have your say. So I give kudos to both. Yesterday, we didn't see any serious confrontation, especially from our security service. So I think they've also demand some A+ there. Aside that, everything is fine. Yeah.
All right. Well, Prof. Nortey, thank you for those brief comments, initial take. So for the benefit of our audience, let me read a bit of that story out in the Daily Graphic, and then Ben gets a bite at it. So protesters want Chief Justice's suspension reversed, and this is the Daily Graphic newspaper. I'm on page 13 now. Thousands of protesters clad in red and black yesterday poured onto the streets of Accra in a massive demonstration dubbed #SaveTheJudiciary. And it's a demo to oppose the suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo's suspension and other actions by President John Dramani Mahama, which they believe threatens the country's constitutional democracy. I know we all followed the story yesterday, and some of the things that happened yesterday, we should really discuss about demonstrators, some persons, I don't want to mention anyone's name this morning, hitting police officials, and the police were unusually calm and collected.
But the person has a name.
Retaliatory, what?
The person has a name.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, Ben.
I mean, we may try to.
Why don't we get into your thoughts, and then we can take it up from there?
No. Read what the story says.
That's the story. That's the meat of it.
Okay, so if you look at it on the back of what happened, I'm sure we don't need to flog that horse, belabor the point, because practically everybody has seen the videos. I've asked myself a few questions, but I also wanted to look at, the Ghana Police Service came out with a statement, and they said the Ghana Police Service has reviewed several video footages on an alleged assault. Because that's how I would put it, on a police officer by Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin during the just ended demonstration. Following the review, the service has written to the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament requesting the release of Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin to assist ongoing investigations into the alleged incident. The officer in question will also be assisting the investigation. And then we hear from the minority leader himself, and he suggests that he was attacked first by a police officer. As I approached the barricade without any provocation, a uniformed police officer stationed behind the barricade, Constable Forson. And why am I doing this? So that if you've not had the benefit of seeing all these things, you would appreciate them better. Constable Forson, a tall, fair, heavily built officer, heavily built, deliberately struck the left side of my chest with the full force of his right palm, directly near my heart. The impact of the hits dazed me, and I was visibly shaken and short of breath. In that moment, I spontaneously protested his conduct, asking why he would seek to harm me. The inspector, who was facilitating my access along with other officers, quickly intervened and assisted me into the restricted area, where I had to lean against the wall at the entrance of Parliament House to prevent myself from collapsing. A national service person, we like using personnel. If it's not plural, don't use personnel. A national service person from Parliament, whom I know, approached and offered me water. 2 CID officers from Parliament also came to check on me. It goes on, and assisted me to a nearby security restroom where I lay down on a bench to stabilize on the back of this, one hit to his chest, and he says it's close to the heart, so anything could have happened. Do you get it? So that is Alexander Afenyo Markin there. Unfortunately, so let me ask you, sweetie, did you at any point see any officer, you know, lay his hands on Afenyo Markin, the minority leader? You were on the ground. I wasn't.
No. Perhaps it happened where I was not stationed, but I didn't see with my eyes, although I saw the videos later on circulating on social media. But I only saw
Which
the
videos?
point where Afenyo Markin hit him, and you know, how dare you, or something like that. That's the only thing that I saw. I haven't seen the video of this heavily built police officer hitting Afenyo Markin on the chest.
That's the problem now, isn't it? Because, and I was asking you because you were on the ground. I don't know whether Adobe Asare is in the background. Adobe, if you saw anything, you can whisper to me whether you saw anything. Maybe we should speak to Michael Ashali.
Yeah.
Adobe says she didn't see anything. My only worry is this, and this is where I'm going to take my 1 minute. The claim is that a police officer assaulted him, and this was his response. Was that it? Because mind you, it wasn't like the video we saw, it happened there and he retaliated. You say you were taken round, you went to lean against the wall, lay on a bench, went to the restroom and came back. So I'm trying to piece everything together. He also claims other senior police officers saw this other officer's actions and even protested them. I'm laying a foundation. That the officer hit him on the chest and that it was an action targeted against him or at him. So, if not for the video that emerged in respect of Afenyo Markin assaulting an officer, would we have heard anything about this statement that he put out? That's my question. And knowing the minority leader to be who he is, I suppose if that had happened, one of the things, I'm not saying it didn't happen, he would have probably brought in the media and spoken about it there and then and addressed the issue. Until we started seeing videos about his slap, had you seen anything about Afenyo complaining about his treatment? Questions on my mind. Is he saying these supposed police officers whom he claims witnessed the incident would be willing to testify to that effect? And then in any case, as a legislator, knowing the gravity of striking an officer of the law, would he say that it was justifiable to lash back, even assuming what he's purporting is true? Have the right, you know, what would have been the right thing in Afenyo Markin's eyes to do as not just an MP, but as a leader? So you know that Democracy Hub, journalists were manhandled and all of that. Imagine if a journalist, I mean, someone took a key, you know, protesting it, Oliver Bakavomao and all of that. Imagine if a journalist were to hit an officer of the law, what the backlash would be. In this instance, no mean a person, but a leader, one of the leaders in Parliament does that. We have seen the footage of the assault, alleged assault on the police officer. We would want to see the footage of the assault on Afenyo Markin. It would be really good. I can't believe that somehow it was possible to catch this one and no media house, bear me out, no media house or no private individual captured that scene. I think that even if we missed it, some media houses would capture the scene where no mean a person, but Afenyo Markin was assaulted by this police officer. If not, then I think this ought to be really taken seriously. On Friday, I'll do the rest of what in my book.
You know what I like to say? The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So this is what Afenyo Markin said happened.
Indeed.
And so I'm particularly
no one is saying he is not,
police,
but we want to see what happened, the altercation. In any case, two wrongs don't make a right, but we must see what happened there.
And I'm saying that I like that the Ghana Police Service wrote to the Speaker of Parliament seeking his release. So due processes are being followed here, and I have to commend them for that. Let's get brief comments on this from our guest, and then I'll get into other stories from the Daily Graphic. Prof. Ayamga, let's start with you.
Yes, I'm listening and reading these stories and also observing what happened, and it beats my imagination, the story the Honorable Afenyo Markin has put out there, that it was a spontaneous reaction to a policeman probably who beat him in the process of crowd control. Let's put that in context. And as Ben rightly put it, this is a situation where the event happened spontaneously. It means that it was a reflex reaction. And then the cameras managed to catch his reflex reaction without the effect of the police officer on him. I'm trying to get that cameraman and who has done that. I think we should pick him out and maybe give him an order of the Volta for special effects, because this is a cock and bull story. We don't have to beat around it. I think that the Honorable Afenyo Markin, in the heat of the moment, more or less overreacted. And what I would have wished to hear from him was an apology to the police officer, apology to the people of this country who came out under the notion that they were coming to join a civil demonstration, only for the leader of the demonstration to engage in that act of incitement. Because if others had followed his lead, the demonstration would have become something else. And I think that we don't have to just take it that, oh, it's an incident, a small incident. It is an attempt to actually turn the demonstration into something violent, cause the police to behave in a certain way. We could have had casualties. People could have lost their lives as a result of that. And I think that regardless of what happens, unless the Honorable Afenyo Markin produces evidence that the police officer actually struck him, his actions should warrant a serious punitive action. Because if nothing happens to him, and God forbid, I join a demonstration another day and also do something similar and something happens, I don't expect anything to happen to me. So he should be held to the highest standard. But as I said in my opening statement, it shows how things have changed in this country. You can ask the Honorable Comrade Oliver Vamao whether if he attempted this thing when he went on his demonstration, his incarceration wouldn't have been longer and stiffer. So, yes, we thank God for having a reformed police service.
Prof. Nortey.
Yes. Thank you. I think if you are assaulted, the rightful thing to do is to report the incident. Okay? You move to safety and report the incident. From all the indications and the stories that is coming from the leader's end, means that he actually sought refuge somewhere for safety, which is commendable. But upon a reflection, you came back to assault. And that's where I'm not getting it, because you are a lawmaker, you are a lawyer yourself, you know what is wrong and you know what is right when you assault a public police officer. What is going to happen to you? So for me, like Prof has alluded to earlier on, we should actually go to the long haul, get the evidence on the ground. How did it happen? Whether somebody actually struck him, because cameras were there, several cameras. There were cameras from all the divide, as well as journalists. So I'm yet to see, yet to see any of the footages that he is describing, because I didn't see that. All we are seeing flying around is he hitting a police officer, which is a very serious offense. So for me, the law must take its course.
Thank you, Prof.
And Sweetie, let me just in 10 seconds add this. Like Prof. Ayamga said, it can't be different strokes for different folks. If you, Sweetie Abochi, in that demonstration, if something had happened, an altercation, and you had struck a police officer this morning, you will not be on this show.
Yeah.
Do you understand that? Yeah. That is what we are saying. The leaders in the judiciary, the executive, the legislature enjoy certain privileges. Even we, as media people, enjoy certain privileges. But your privileges do not exceed what the law stipulates. And so the Ghana Police Service, the Parliament of Ghana, and all well-meaning people must ensure that this matter is followed to its end. If it's even at best, because at worst there could be consequences. Assault is assault. If at best it is an apology, a profound apology and whatever, which I don't think is how to deal with it, let it be that. But let there be acknowledgement rather than what I am seeing. And like someone has just said, the law is the law.
Okay.
Let it take
so
its
let's move the conversation forward. Failure to meet assets declaration deadline. Government appointees lose 3 months' salaries. Non-compliance by May 7th results in dismissal. Government appointees who missed the March 31st, 2025 deadline to file their assets declaration forms as set by President John Dramani Mahama are to forfeit 3 months' salary to the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, also known as Mahama Cares. And the punitive directive issued by President Mahama is in addition to a mandatory 1 month salary donation required of all appointees of the president. Just a quote and then we can discuss. If by close of day Wednesday, May 7, 2025, any appointee still fails to declare their assets, they should consider themselves automatically dismissed. Now, I'm listening to the president say this, and then I'm reading what the Constitution actually says. Now, while the Constitution requires filing of the declaration before assumption of office, the Act passed pursuant to the Constitution's demand gives a grace period of 6 months after assuming office. And so I'm asking myself, is this a bit harsh, or is this just the dawn of a new day, and so things are being done differently? Professor Yamga, what do you make of this?
Yes, I think the president has been his hallmark, has tried to lead by example, to raise the bar. The 6 months is the minimal approach, and he doesn't want to be a minimalist. Why doesn't he probably raise the standards? And sometimes 6 months before you know, you have forgotten. The pressure is down, people have settled into their responsibilities. They have acquired additional wealth, and it won't be a very good measure of what goes on. And yes, it is quite difficult to do. I, for one, I will try to do mine today. I was just appointed maybe a month ago, so even though we just starting in, I still think that I don't have much apart from my farms and a few houses.
Okay.
Actually,
I like how you say a few houses.
I like how smoothly that my farms and a few houses.
A few houses, okay.
Yes, I have been farming, so by the grace of God, at least I have a couple of roofs, so I can easily put that on paper. But to say that the president is harsh, maybe would be to downgrade the intensity with which he wants this thing done.
But does that mean you should throw away what the Constitution says?
No,
if you're going to dismiss someone, an appointee, because they haven't declared their asset by a deadline you set, meanwhile, the Constitution actually gives that person enough, like 6 months rather, to do this thing. You've given them, I think by the end of May 7, that would be 3 months or 4 months.
Yeah, I don't think what the president is doing is contravening the Constitution. He's just saying that this is the window the Constitution gives you. I want it done way, way ahead of time so that we don't have to be running with the Constitution. He's the appointing authority. He has appointed you and he has asked you that he wants you to do this. It's not a matter of Constitution. When you went lobbying, you didn't carry the Constitution to the president and say that I am lobbying by virtue of the Constitution. You are lobbying because you think he's the appointing authority and he has the right to say, take this green letter and go and act. So if you take the green letter, fill the access forms. I don't think that is a long haul. Besides, it's an honorable thing to do, and if the president has done it in record time, why shouldn't we? All right. So I'm okay with the president, and I just think that where they need to be some balance is the difference in the period in which people were employed and other things, and some people may need to time to get used to this asset declaration thing. But the president is spot on. We'll follow his lead. Yeah.
Just a quick note on that. You may call it a new order because you have mentioned part of what the regulations are. But all I will say is this, like Prof mentioned, those who are taking positions, right, whether they were lobbying or whatever, that does not matter to me. Once you got there, you knew before or right after you took office that this was what your appointor was saying. That is it. If you knew beforehand or you knew right after based on what Felix Kwatio has said in the past and what the president himself said, and you accepted the office, then you should comply. Simple.
Professor Nortey, do you agree?
Yeah, I perfectly agree with the earlier submissions that have been made. I mean, somebody had appointed you, and the person is saying that follow my footsteps. He did it in record time. So why do you dilly-dally with it? It has an intended purpose. And the intended purpose is that it is, one, to prevent corruption, and two, to promote transparency. So this is what I come into government with, and this is what I will be going out with. And so people can measure between when I came into office and when I am going out. This is the number of assets I've built on. And that is fair. It promotes transparency. And so if, though it's a bit uncomfortable for them because the president has given you 3 months instead of the 6 months that is being stipulated in our constitution, I think the president has not done anything wrong. What he is doing is rather to encourage you to do it in record time. You see, you have to do it in record time so that everybody will see that, oh, everything is transparent.
Okay.
And so, for me, I still go with what the president said, because look, corruption can be done in even seconds. So that 3 months, in addition, God knows how you could add or double your assets before you declare them. So I think it's in order. Right. I like what saying.
Just some quick headlines and then we'll move on to other stories. On the back page, government dissatisfied with food supplies by second cycle school heads. And on the international front, I saw an interesting headline that I just want to read out. Rwanda in talks to receive migrants deported from US, and Kenya government condemns shameful shoe hurling at president. I saw the video and I thought, nah, that should be condemned. And Ghana loses a huge amount of money in food wastage. That's the last headline, and then we can move on. Ghana throws away 762.32 billion Ghana cedis in food annually, waste higher than global average. Ghana wastes 3.2 million metric tons of food, equivalent to 762.32 billion Ghana cedis annually. And that is something we should not take lightly. That's where I'll end my paper. Quick reflections, and then we can move on to other newspapers. Professor Yamga, any of these stories you want to reflect to quickly?
Yes, I think for internationally, I think I am particularly worried about the situation in Rwanda. Not that I am unhappy. Rwanda. Because not that I'm unhappy that an African country is.
Which instance are you referring to?
Rwanda is the one where they're receiving migrants.
Oh, okay.
I have a very serious problem with that posture, because you see, these are people who have done everything to get to the West, either to UK or to wherever, to some fleeing persecution and persecution from their domains, and then you are bringing them back to an African country where you cannot actually guarantee that these rights will be protected. And I think that Rwanda's problems should be bigger than trying to be a safe haven for people who have successfully reached Europe. It shows the level of intolerance that is growing around the world, and to the point that people have come, you should receive them. These are some of them refugees. You should be willing to receive them, not take them to a place you think is punishment for them. That is where my problem is. They are being sent to Rwanda more or less as a punishment, not as an alternative place where they can live a decent life. And I believe that Rwanda shouldn't be offering that service, opening its doors to serve as a point of repatriation for Africans and other people who have found their way to the West. I think the West has enough resources, enough space, and enough infrastructure to provide safe havens and rehabilitation centers, job training and job security for these people, for them to integrate. To repatriate them, I think, is also inhuman to a certain degree, and Rwanda shouldn't be participating in it.
All right.
That's my view.
Okay, thank you. Prof. Nortey,
Yeah, well, I would have a bite on the food wastage.
Right.
To be frank, what we even produce is not enough for us to feed all of us adequately. So if we are wasting food, we are creating a lot more problems for ourselves. It has an environmental impact. It has an economic impact, because these foods that are gone wasted we could have gotten some economic means out of it. We could have gotten some money to pay some workers. So for me, and it has also a social impact. So we need to work around to reduce this food wastage. This is not the time for us to waste food at all. This is not the time. We need all the waste to be turned into something useful. Even waste itself is being turned into something useful. So we shouldn't waste food in this part of our world.
All right.
Okay, I'll just add these because we are moving away from those issues on the asset declaration and back to the bit about the demonstration. So some messages coming through. Eric Nkansa says, JM, take it easy because the NPP will never do this to its appointees. And I see this as part of our problem, you see, because just because the right things are not done in certain instances doesn't mean they shouldn't start being done. So to say, I'm sure if we were to go into the books and find out how many people in how many past administrations, not just the past one, declared their assets, it would be interesting. You see, you don't want to go back that retrospectively, but the point being that we should do the right thing. And the fact that someone did the wrong thing doesn't justify another person doing the wrong thing. It shouldn't be given party colorations that, this side will not be that hard on it, because that's what it ought to be if we are going to stem the tide of corruption and the rest. So, let's not act like, you are in power. If we get this responsible, then it makes it more difficult for others to come and do the wrong thing. Do you get it? And that's where we ought to be. Reverend Latte, a man of the law, sends in this message. He says, good morning. JDM took an oath to defend the Constitution. The Constitution has provided a process for the removal of a CJ. The president is following the constitutional process. How is JDM destroying our democracy if he is following the Constitution? Which just brings me to my final thoughts. I think Alexander Afenyo Markin, and I'm being, watchful of my words, may have done a bit of a disservice to the demonstration yesterday, because instead of many media houses talking about whatever may be the core intent of the demonstration was, this morning we are talking about his lap. Do you get it? So I think moving forward, leaders should be careful how they manage stuff, because the thrust of it, yes, CJ, but we've just said it in passing. Now we are focusing on, leader slap somebody.
Yeah.
You get it? And I think it could have been avoided. It's unnecessary.
Should we get into your papers? Prof. Ayamga,
let's get into Prof's papers.
Of course.
You deliberately give me Economic Times.
Yes, I deliberately do it because he's a man of finance.
Always does that. And I'll fall for the bait again.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Fitch's review of Ghana's economic forecast. And as I said, I wrote on my Facebook page last week advising people who have foreign currencies to start selling if the emphasis was on profit and not just to store the value. Some followed the lead, some haven't, and they have seen the trajectory. And I said it that, to be honest with you, when we were in graduate school, our professor used to tell us that when you want to know an economy is recovering, you look at the height and the breadth. The height is the magnitude of the growth, the changes, and then the breadth is maybe how many indicators are also pointing in the right direction. You realize that not only is it that since September, as I said the other time, inflation has been declining. You look at Fitch, they have more or less supported government's projections that our economy is going to grow. And the city also appreciating, not only stabilizing, but appreciating marginal as it is also in effect reducing Ghana's debt, because all our dollar-denominated debts would reduce because the cedi is appreciating. So the debt to GDP ratio is also improving. So across several fundamentals, if you want to call them, the economy is showing resilience. And it is not going to be a short-term thing because of what we are seeing. And I want to stress it again, those hoarding currencies, if they are to make profit, it's time to get it off. And I'm particularly happy that for also some period now, I went and bought fuel when they were dropping me at the airport yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. It was kind of exciting. I know maybe things may change in the future, but let's give credit where it is due, that our economy has turned the corner, this time for real, and the baton has really been given to the fastest runner. And I think this relay, if we are optimistic and work as Ghanaians, we may end up with a medal, and that's what I want to say.
Prof, quick point. Did you say has turned the corner or is turning the corner?
Has.
Because this has turned the corner and is out of the woods. I have heard it before.
No, I'm saying it has.
We ended up deeper.
That's why I said really. Because you see, in the past, you saw just a Bank of Ghana putting, when we signed any agreement, we got our IMF first tranche, then the cedi appreciated, the next day it was back. We probably, at the food season, inflation dropped marginally because food price inflation declined. 2 weeks is back. But now you are seeing consistency, and I'm saying since September, inflation has been on a downward trend. And then also, the cedi has not only stabilized, but it's beginning to show resilience and clawing back some of its losses. Our minimum, in fact, expectation, our objective was to stabilize. To see this kind of resilience the cedi is showing points to the fact that something right is being done at the Ministry of Finance, something right is being done by leadership, and let's give credit where it is due. My friend sent me a message that could I have imagined what would happen in this country. I know it was circulating on social media if we had recorded this economic turnover in 2024, we would have still been sitting in lectures and some other things. So, yes, some were pessimistic when they picked the Minister of Finance. I wasn't, and I'm happy he has proven the president right and every Ghanaian right that he is the man to turn things around. So,
has
yes,
it already proven? I feel like it's still early days to be making conclusive statements like that. But you are the economist.
You see, when it comes to economics, it is the things you do first that matter, because they send messages to everybody. President Donald Trump, let me see, in case I find myself in America, did a few things, and you see what? It's turned the global economy upside down. You could have said it's just a few days. You can do a lot of damage to the economy in just 1 hour, just by saying the wrong thing. And he has been inherited a very dire situation. You get to every organization, and then you see the level of rot and depletion that has taken place. I mean, you get shocked, you get marveled that that happened in this country. And to inherit that and still say you are going to change it. Today, we are not talking of lamentations. We are actually talking about some exodus from the bad days. And I'm happy. I'm particularly happy. And we all pay the price as Ghanaians. We have sacrificed through these days. And if there's light at the end of the horizon, I say let's go for it. Let's run towards the light.
I have heard Professor Lord Mensah. And again, I am a bit skeptical because I've seen too much in this country too. These are positive signs, but I would say turning the corner rather than turned the corner. Lord Mensah, I think I heard him some days back or over a week ago suggest that the fall of particularly the dollar, and it has continued to fall, and the appreciation of the cedi, if things keep going this way with proper economic management and with a 24-hour economy and agric coming on board, we could go as low as, 10 cedis to the dollar. But for me, it remains to be seen, right? It's about seeing. Seeing is believing. When it comes to politics and money matters, seeing is believing. I want to see before I I say anything out there. Just, on the
Nortey
food,
wanted to say.
Prof. Nortey, you wanted to come in there.
Yes. So I'm saying that turning the corner or turning the corner, for me, we are gradually moving towards turning the corner, not actually even turning. We are gradually, when you are speeding and you get to where you need to turn, you need to apply your brakes so that your acceleration reduces. I think that is where we are now. We are about turning the corner. And I think things are showing, all the positive indications are showing. Reduction in fuel prices. I think consistently, it's been done three or four times consistently. And the downward trend is good to boom the economy. Even just a cedi would boom the economy. So it's good. Inflation has also turned a downward trend from September right onwards. So they are all positive signs. Exchange rate also same. The cedi has shown a lot of resilience in these last days. And we cannot say that this just happened. Actually, very good policies have engineered that. So I think that is on point for me.
Yeah. All right. I was going to add Reverend Latte's comments that I was told, so he sent me a message that we waste food because of high prices. Today, one avocado is sold at 50 cedis. If nobody buys the avocado shortly, the pear rots and is thrown away. Wastage. And I asked him, where are you, purchasing it? And he's in the UK. So he says he was told yesterday when he was encouraging someone to eat green. I don't know if you are purchasing what we call pear here, avocado, for 50 cedis anywhere. He mentions a place somewhere in Lashibi for the sake of not mentioning any specific place and denigrating any business. I will not mention the name of the place, but if you are purchasing an avocado for 50 cedis anywhere, please let me know. Shoot me a message and let me know. And pinpoint where exactly you're doing that.
Okay.
I think, okay, I just want to have a bite on that. You see, those sellers on the street there are some of the most brilliant economists you can think of. And they know the avocado will spoil, so I want to sell 3 and make up my losses. So they know that, yes, it's a problem. It's a gamble they are taking once you are buying or selling avocado. And they want to make sure that by the time they sell 5, 6, they don't lose much when the market is not good. So we can't blame them. We just have to improve the way we handle our food and improve the shelf life. Processing in this country as far as food is concerned is still at a Stone Age level, let me put it that way. And we need to actually maybe launch innovation, launch challenges, let people innovate. Let's collate some ideas and see how we can improve on our food storage systems across the country. That would be a good way to go.
Let me just find out. Maybe I missed out on something. Reverend Latte, I know you are watching us. Do you mean one pair for 50, or is it maybe 3 or 4 together for 50? It just struck me. So please clarify, Reverend Latte.
And I mean, just listening to the statements and arguments coming in, I'm compelled to appeal to the president. While the nation is at large divided over your unconventional means to whip up government officials and others, I think that while inflation is getting better, while the cedi is appreciating, things never really return to the prices they were before they were inflated. You get what I mean? For example, prices of cost of transportation never really reduces, even when the fuel cost is reduced.
There's a composite of things that must go down.
And
spare parts,
really
fuel
does.
Prices. I mean,
food
every
even.
now and then, once in a while, a little.
It doesn't. So I'm appealing to the president to let's be intentional about it. Whilst things are getting better, it should also reflect in the way or the amount of money we spend in the markets, so that it's not like inflation is getting better. We like Prof is saying that we are making this turning point, but we are still struggling to make ends meet because our traders in the market are refusing to reduce the prices to reflect the current times and the changes that the economy is witnessing. I don't know who's going to pick this up, but we need to whip up our traders in shape as well. Ben, your paper next.
Hey, can I have just a
yes,
little?
yes.
Sure,
I think, you see, it takes time for prices to fall. They always tell us that the prices are rigid downwards because it has to take time for, as many of you are saying, you are skeptical. They are also skeptical. And sometimes they have probably stocked for 5-6 months. The cost at which they stocked is higher, so they still think that, okay, they need to probably sell. So it is going to take time before prices will come down. Also, what is more likely, what is most likely will happen is that when you have an economy improving, of course, it comes along with consumer confidence and more demand, and then productivity increases, and then wages and incomes can rise over time. What would improve the quality of life is our productivity improving and our incomes rising over time, but not necessarily a downward trend of prices. Prices are always rigid downwards, and it's an old axiom that is going to hold. So yes, with time you will see some improvement in our lifestyle because we are moving into a higher level of consumption characterized by higher incomes and higher productivities. That's what we are going to see, not just decreases in prices.
I just want to see some reduction somewhere, you know, so that it can reflect the changing times of the economy.
And that's
the progress you say we are making, the ordinary Ghanaian has to feel it too. And it all comes from the market, the things we buy and sell, the cost of services that we render here and there.
If you look at it this way, we got 10% wage increment. If prices are stable, then that is a real 10% increment. If prices rise together with the 10% increment, then what is happening is that whatever you give organized labor or civil service is being negated by price increases. So look at it this way, that our lives have improved because we have managed to keep the economy and prices at a standstill or maybe increase marginally, whilst we got 10%. This could be better than even the 50% you got last year because it is not accompanied by massive increases in prices.
Okay.
I think I heard you want to say something, chip in something, Prof. Nortey.
Yes, so I was saying that, as your colleague rightly mentioned, inflation moving downwards doesn't mean that prices would also move downwards. Inflation moving downwards certainly means that prices may increase, but it may increase marginally, okay, or will stay at an equilibrium price where you can plan with it. So all the indicators are showing that prices shouldn't go beyond a certain limit, and so we can plan. And as my other professor, learned colleague said, if that can be accompanied with some small cushioning on the part of government in terms of wage increment, then things will be fine. We can accommodate those small changes in prices.
Okay.
Let me bring in just two messages. I asked people to share with me how much they were buying avocado for. And two interesting, on opposite sides. Akanuge Charles says, I bought an avocado. I keep avoiding pear because it's a different avocado, as low as 5 cedis for 1 piece yesterday in Tamale. Yet, Nana Kojo Kwating Apia says, I'm an Uber driver and I've picked a couple of riders who wanted to buy avocado, and the price of one ranges from 40 to 50 cedis. Some at Tema and others around Adrigano and East Legon. Like some people would suggest, are we doing, as we say, are we doing ourselves? Is it that if you are in the plush areas, they are more, because I think I purchased some, it's maybe some weeks back, and I think it was around 8 cedis or so per one. which is why I'm seeking some. If you've purchased it in recent times, let me
I got
know.
one for 15 cities
Indeed.
over the weekend.
There are some very big ones that
available
sometimes.
avocado.
Exactly. For me too, I think around 12, 13
Yeah.
cities. So this
Never
40,
got
50
past
cities
20.
I am surprised about. But
anyway,
let's
make progress, gentlemen. Whose paper next? Prof, do you have some more stories?
Yes, I want to take on this story just to spite Ben. It's not on the Financial Times. It's on the Observer. And
just to what?
To spite you.
To spite me.
That's the Overseer newspaper.
Yes, Overseer. I've seen government to reverse names of public universities changed by the former president. And this particularly struck me because some of the names of the universities are sentences. And yes, it doesn't actually augur well. And the personalities that they have been named after don't actually represent the regions and this country. And for party chairman, party activists and other things, it's a low point. It is politicizing these institutions. And I said it when the president did it at the time. I'm happy that Leader Haruna Idrisu, we are just stuck with the leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu at the Education Ministry is leading this renaming. I think that not only the universities, but a whole lot of institutions and edifices in this country has to be revisited. If possible, reverse them to their original names, give them regional names, and it will be better. You go and mention a university name somewhere and people are looking all over the internet and they can't even find one single thing that fellow has done. I think it's a problem. So we need to be honest. And universities are funding, they need funding to work, research funding. And sometimes you mention the name of the university and you can't just, you mention Kwame Nkrumah University and you know what that can do.
Yeah.
But okay, let me just stop here so that...
I'm hoping that we can find a way to protect our universities and public institutions and, you know, all these edifices from the constant changing, renaming when every administration comes to power. If there's a way we can, yeah, that's the word, protect it, so that when the next, you know, party comes into office, they say they're going to change it back to the thing we're doing with Jubilee House and Flagstaff House, you know. And these changes cost money because everything that documents that are produced, Ben, why are you smiling so much?
No, because it's a point I've made for so long.
Yeah, it costs money, and we are just wasting money because someone wants a certain name to reflect their alignment to a particular historical precedent or political party, and it's just not something we should be doing at this point in our democracy. Thank you for that.
The cost of it, we often don't realize. If you change the name of an institution, you know, let's say GIJ becomes Unimark IJ and all of that. Do you know what it means? Everything. Let's forget about all the other. Let's even forget about publicity. Let's forget about whatever adverts. That is if the no, I'm focusing only on stationery. I don't even want to go to billboards and things that will change. Can you imagine the cost? Stationery. So this too will come at a cost, but I feel we should get past that instance. If someone is not really tight, it's like when we're talking about, was it J.B. Dankwa and the University of Ghana? I mean, for how long have we known? I'm not denigrating the man J.B. Dankwa, not in any way. We must respect all these people who in various ways, no matter what people may say about, oh, there were these negatives. Who is without a negative?
Yeah.
Even Nkrumah had his own negatives. But I'm saying that when something has been around for so long, well established and everything, and you come and all of a sudden, boom, I'm changing it to this person. I think the UPSA, at a point, there were some, I feel these are wholly unnecessary and so parochial.
More so tertiary education institutions, because the certificates also have to change.
Exactly.
And you can lose a big opportunity because somebody is not sure of your certificate, because it was CKT Tadam University and
now
it's now University of Navrungo. So you have that problem. So, but we just have to get to a point where we name these institutions, especially education institutions.
How do we do it, Prof? How do we protect these institutions from these political football of a sort that we play with them? How do we do it? It's enshrined in Constitution? I don't know. How do we do this?
I think we need to make it a little more difficult. Required to test majority in Parliament to change these names. We are doing a constitutional review now. I think it's time we factor it into it. Make it very difficult for people to change it, because people who are, I didn't see the need. I mean, to me, it was trivial that what does it change to have moved University of Applied Science to CKT? What has it changed?
You know, it would be interesting. It's just like, okay, so today, you know, the multimedia group. You wake up the next day, it is multi-generational group. Wake up the next day, it's Kwesichum Media Group. I mean, at a point you begin to wonder, you know, is this the same one I know, or is it's that simple?
Anyway.
I'll go back to the issue of avocados. I'm sorry, but people are sending in messages. Mankind Elembele says, I bought one at 15 Ghana cedis today. This early in the day? That's interesting. Or do you mean yesterday? Abdul Hamid says, that's, okay, so don't say someone is lying. I mean, you can just, there's nowhere they sell avocado for 40 Ghana cedis. And then Steph says, I bought one yesterday in Malam for 10 cedis.
Yeah.
So that's more like what I know.
Yeah.
I've never known of anything above 12, 13, you say 15 cedis.
No.
Okay. All right. The Ghanaian Times, asset declaration, president to dismiss non-compliant appointees. We've dealt with that, so I'll not get into it. Coalition of political parties demo demands reversal of CJ suspension. Again, we've looked at that. On the back page, make hand hygiene daily lifestyle. That's according to the health minister. And there are so many things out there. It's not just COVID and the rest. And COVID hasn't gone anyway. So let's take care of ourselves. And Ghana joined the rest of the world yesterday to mark World Hand Hygiene Day. And that's where the minister was saying that. 84 units residential complex for GIS inaugurated in Accra. Ghanaian Times, check your spelling of unit. I know it's a printer's devil, these things happen. But what I'll focus on, a few of them, I'm starting with the call yesterday. Times Needy Fund for that. I don't know, is she a reporter? I think she works with the Ghanaian Times. And yesterday we put out the details. Please, she has a tumor in her head. If you get a copy of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, you would find it. So I'm just putting out the account number. It's UBA. Kaneshie Industrial Area Branch, UBA, Kaneshie Industrial Area Branch, to support the brain tumor surgery of a young budding journalist, Agnes Owusu. You can send it to 00, that's the account number, 001 030 687 01511. You can also call 0599 775 707, I beg your pardon, 0599 775 707, or also call 0203 955 441. And let's help Agnes Owusu. 441 is actually the name of a place, right? But 4 remanded over alleged murder at Esiao. The Osino District Court last Friday remanded 4 persons in connection with the alleged murder of 5 people at Esiao near Akwane Dobro in Sawam of the Eastern Region. The suspects were arrested by the Eastern South Regional Police Command after the alleged murder of 5 people that occurred following the shooting incident during a confrontation between 2 groups over sand winning. Then investigation into cybersecurity breach affecting 5,700 MTN customers begins. There was also this interesting story. New research study finds that Samira Bawumia substantially redefined second lady role. So a new research study published by a reputable and peer-reviewed international journal has found that Samira Bawumia contributed significantly to the transformation of the second lady position during her husband's tenure as the vice president. The study, which was published by Drumspeak, the International Journal of Research in the Humanities, and co-authored by Professor Eche Sikanku and Dr. Louise Carol Sewa. Interesting to see Professor Sikanku's name there. Sought to analyze media narratives of the second lady among selected credible media houses in Ghana. And it says, quote, this frame pointed to Mr. Bawumia's socially minded programs, particularly for young girls, women, and children that sought to equip them with skills, inspire, and empower them to achieve their goals. So some interesting stories there in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Then, Prof, I'll come to you finally when I'm ending. The New Republic, it talks about Afenyo Markin slap. Then James Bond's Asokore Mampo mansion pops up. The James Bond here they are referring to is Edubwa Hene, and Mahama unveils code of conduct. So those are the final bits in there. Prof. Nortey, any quick thoughts for us before we go?
Yes, so let me wade into your avocado thing. Yesterday, I bought one one 15 cedis and another one 20 cedis. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Around East Legon. So I don't know where the person bought the 50 cedis one, but mine is close to GTech. I bought one for 15 cedis and a bigger one for 20 cedis.
Yeah.
All right, Prof. Any final thoughts?
Yes. I'll just say that also on your avocado thing. I bought some at my Wache joint in Kamina.
Where?
Kamina in Tamale that's on Saturday. One for 10 cedis. So I bought 220 cedis. So even in Tamale we can get avocado for 10 cedis.
On the naming of monuments, Reverend Lati says naming monuments and streets fall under the Local Governance Act. But we have